And if you want to tweet or anything, it's hashtag Digiren as well. Yeah, just to say that you've heard the terms RenSafeOnline and GetSafeOnline. So GetSafeOnline is the organisation the council are working with, but we decided to try and emphasise it a bit, and we called it RenSafeOnline, and that's the partnership. It's the Carol Peters that you met, I think, at the last Digiren. Carol Peters is the cybersecurity architect here at the council, and it was her that started off the conversations with GetSafeOnline. And then she met me, and then I was like a bad penny and didn't go away. And now we're both working together to try and promote online safety. So just to explain that, 'cause I think it can be a bit confusing. So I'll pass over to Maria, and Liz, if you want to introduce yourself. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Diane, and hello everybody. I'm Maria Booker, and I'm the Director of Programmes for GetSafeOnline. We work with various police forces around the whole of the UK, and also quite a few local authorities now. Originally we were set up but by the government. The government set us up, but they didn't want us to be completely government funded. They wanted us to work with private partners as well, because they didn't want it just to be government messaging being sent out. So we're a bit different than any other organisation that you'll find in this area. And also we actually do cover all aspects of online safety. So we don't just work with the old or the young, we work with everybody regarding all the latest scams and everything. And I think that's the one thing that, since I've been working with GetSafeOnline for quite a few years now, and the one thing I've noticed is, you know, whatever is causing you a problem with online, whether it's scams, whether it's texts, whether you're worried about whether your parents, if you've got aged parents, whether you're worried about them being scammed, it actually does. It's a big worry. And I think, you know, quite often you don't know who to turn to when you've got these concerns. Now, please do all have a look at our website. We're very grateful to Renfrewshire for actually investing in this programme for your region, because it really will help with you disseminating the messages that we provide. It really will help keep your communities much safer when they're online, and give people peace of mind. And at the end of the day, that's what we all need, is peace of mind, and to know that things are looked after. Your programme gives you quite a lot of resources. There's obviously the website, which you get or you will be soon getting a version of that, which is our website but branded up for you and linked to your own website. You also get monthly campaigns, so we send these campaign packs through to Carol and Diane, and they disseminate them to any of you that want to be able to then post it. They're all set with your branding and our branding, and you just need to make sure that you schedule those posts, and each month it's a different topic. You also, Carol and Diane have access to a password protected resources library, where there's PowerPoint presentations aimed at all different dynamics within your communities. So, you know, if you get a local secondary school contact you asking for help regarding sexting, if they've got a problem in the school with something like that, there's actually a PowerPoint that they can download and run and deliver. So, and lots of leaflets, lots of videos and lots of things like that. So, and that's all there for you guys, but you will need to gain access via Diane or Carol Peters to actually access those materials. And also we do some events, we do some training events. Now, over the last year, because of COVID, obviously they've been online events. My colleague Liz, who's on this call, is going to give you a little taster snippet of one of our little training events. But also we do, that's community awareness events. So we'll come in person because you have the full programme, or we can deliver online, whichever is your preference. And then we do the live events, which is if you've got a big community event like a county show, I don't know, the Highland Games or something like that, you want us to come, we'll come along with a team of experts, gazebos, exhibition stands, and a team of experts that will engage with the public. We normally have a crowd draw, so we might do glitter tattoos on the kids, and we'll chat to the kids and the parents while we're doing the tattoos about how they manage their online security and where they feel they're vulnerable. And they're always great. They're really good fun events. So you've got that. And also you can have a business event as well, or you might want to swap that out for extra training. It's, you know, it's your program, and we'll do whatever you want us to do to make sure we spread the message as far and wide as we can. Please do look at our website. We've launched a new website in the last couple of weeks, and that's www.getsafeonline.org. And again, if you want the resources, please do contact Carol or Diane to actually gain access to that. I'll tell you a little bit more. I've got another slot in a little while where I'll tell you about the Ambassadors Programme, which is something which you guys are probably going to pilot for us in the UK. But I'm going to hand over to my lovely colleague Liz Stanton now. You there, Liz?
Okay, yeah, I am. Thanks very much, Maria. I'm gonna take my camera off only because I'm using 4G as well, so I just want to make sure everything's stable when I go onto the PowerPoint. So I'm obviously working with GetSafeOnline as well. I'm an ex-police officer. I was 25 years in the service. I'm retired a number of years ago, and then obviously I'm now working with GetSafeOnline. Maria touched on the materials and the training. I'm one of the trainers. But I would like to just point out that all the training materials that we do are bespoke to what you need. So it's not just something that's just come off the shelf and we use. Obviously on the resource pages they are, but if you find that you've got any issues or anything coming up, we can make sure that the resources are up to date and bespoke for what you need as well, just to save you time and money and expertise as well there. So I'm going to do a 10 minutes presentation when in a slot in a minute. I think it is a snapshot. You've chosen the topic of passwords. It's something we all know, but we all fall foul of it as well. But that's a little bit about me. I'll hand you back over to Diane, and I'll come back on when you're ready.
Sorry, that was me. That's great, Leslie. Whenever you're ready to go, just carry on with this, and then after that we'll go on to the talk about the survey and the ambassador training, if that's all right.
Okay, so can you see, just to check, can you see my screen there? Can you see pause for thought, everybody?
Yes.
Oh, brilliant! Right, okay. As I say, it's how do you make something interactive when you're on a webinar or on a Zoom or whichever platform you're using? So we're going to do it as best I can. It is quite flowing this as well, and you need your fingers on the keyboard ready to answer all the questions as well. There's no right or wrong answer. This is just a pause for thought to get you start thinking, and obviously to give you a bit of a sample of what we do. So pause for thought. What devices do you use? Well, what devices do you use? You may be with the communities and talking to everybody on a daily basis about their lives, but do you ever stop to think about your own lives and what happens within your own family? And what do you like doing online? That's the other big thing, isn't it? Now, we don't all need to be experts at all when we're trying to give out these information and pockets of information to everybody. It just needs the willingness to learn and to be able to signpost people to the place where they can take the time and get their information from themselves. So in the chat, please, what devices do you use and what do you like doing online? Now, while you're doing that, I am going to carry on talking and moving through the slides. Now, where do you start? we read, see all the time in the papers, on the news, what's happening out there. But the vast majority of online crime, it can actually be avoided by simply changing our behaviours. Stats up until the start of COVID was actually 80% of breaches involve the human element, but it's now changed. It's now 85%. And when I say the human element, I'm talking about scams, phishing. I'm talking about all them. It's all there for the criminals to use. You all know about the scams, what's out there. You know, I'm not going to go into these in detail at all, but they're out there, aren't they? No matter what the current situation is, the criminals are going to be right on it. And in fact, they're probably 2-3 months ahead of us to some extent. They will reinvent old scams, and they do it purely because it works. Now we monitor your saved passwords for issue. Something like this may pop up on your device. How many of you actually would do something about it? How many of you, if you're using, say, an Apple product and your password pops up, it tells you that you're reusing your passwords and things like this, do you do anything about it? Again, just pop it in the chat. I'll have a look at the chat later on. Do you do something about it? If you're aware that something that you're using has been compromised, do you go in and start changing your passwords? Now we know that you know, passwords are important. We know that they are the weakest link to some extent. So what's the most important online service password that you have? Banking, online shopping, social media, or is it something else? So again, in the chat, please just pop down what's the most important password or that you have for that service. Now I'm hoping you're all frantically typing. Please don't be copying each other, obviously. I'm hoping that you're going to be putting down email accounts. Again, in the chat, how many email accounts do you have? Now, you're all in an organisation or a charity, so I take it you've got that, your work's email. How many personal emails do you have? Are you just using the one email? Is that email account being used throughout the family, or other people have access to it? And what password do you have for your email? Do you use that password for other things as well? It is important that we actually start thinking about this. If you think about your emails it holds a hell of a wealth of information about you. You know, if you're anything like me, I've got folders and folders on top of folders within my emails, and I have got information on there which, you know, if my email was compromised, potentially personal information could be out there. So thinking about emails as well, how often do you go and delete or look at your spam and delete your old emails? That's another thing. It's just about online personal hygiene. Now, this is the biggie. Do you use the same password for more than one online account or system? Is that yes, no, sometimes? Clearly, I'm not going to ask you which is your favourite password, but it is interesting to ask this question and to ask the people that you're talking to as well. So again, just pop it in the chat. Now, the big old question that always comes up is why can't we reuse passwords? Now, when I was actually pulling the figures back and to put the slides together, I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of breaches out there, and I'd be here all day doing it. So I've just tried to pull out some which I think may be relevant to yourselves as well. Now, thinking about passwords, you're reusing passwords. So, for example, your password that you're using for your email, you may be using it for your iCloud as well. Thinking about your iCloud or, you know, any of your cloud services, everything that matters to you is backed up. So you're sat there thinking, yeah, that's great. I can always access that, and that's a secure way. It is a secure way. But what happens if you're using that same password for something else? So, for example, your Boots Advantage card, they had a breach March 2020. Customer records all went. That password now becomes public knowledge, along with the email that you signed up for that Advantage card. And if you're using it exactly the same for your iCloud, then that means the criminal has got access to your iCloud and your Boots and anything else. You do need to be thinking about passwords. Once the breach has happened, it goes onto the dark web. It's sold hundreds and hundreds of times. This doesn't look like it's a lot of money. It's cheap. I mean, the market does fluctuate, but it's amazing. The criminals will use this, they will reuse it, and if you're using the same password, as I say, for everything, they've got access to absolutely everything you do online. So does it really matter? Well, and how does it work? So think about it. Netflix, this has been going around for many, many years, and it works. This lands onto your email. And if other people within the family are using it, especially young people, they're not necessarily fully aware of what's happening, they will just click on it, because that's what it's asking you to do. Click on it to verify your Netflix account. You click on there, all you can see flashing at you is the members sign in, and it's similar to what it should be. If you're not looking at what the URL number is, in the haste of trying to get your things in there, you won't realise it's a dodgy website. They ask you for your email and your password, and they're in. That same email, same password is the kingdom to absolutely everything that you do if you're reusing it. So the next stage looks exactly like it should do. They've got a closed padlock on there, which what you should be looking for as well. Most people don't look at the URL numbers at all. And bearing in mind, you can actually get URL numbers cloned as well. So, but that's a whole new presentation. So you're entering your billing numbers, your address, and absolutely everything in there, even your date of birth. And just to get the icing on the cake, they ask you to verify it. And at the bottom, it's a security question. So once they've got that, they can do absolutely anything. Clone your accounts, close your accounts down, become you, take out credit loans, everything. Now, wouldn't it be easy if it is like Spot the Difference? Again, in your chat button, can you tell me, are these genuine URLs? Are they genuine accounts? What's the difference? What's glaringly shouting at you? Can you see anything there? Well, I'm hoping you're going to put A. The font is different, and it's just as simple as that. But because our brain isn't wired to actually look at each individual number or letter, our brains are wired to read the whole thing, or to read sentences or words. And that's where the scammers, that's what they rely on, the criminals rely on you, and they just literally will tweak something. So let's have a look at something. How do you actually check out a good website? Bearing in mind, you don't want to be putting any passwords. First of all, do any of you save your passwords to your browser? That's another thing that you need to be aware of. There is some conflicting information out there on there, but we don't recommend that you save your passwords to browsers, purely because if you've got a virus on your computer, they potentially could have access to all your information as well. So we all dream about going away. I can say that I'm not actually dreaming it, I'm living it, because I'm in Wetherby here at the moment, sat in the garden trying to do this presentation for you. I am working, I might add. But anyway, you check it out. You've got the website. How do you know it's real? Well, just have a look at it. You're not just looking at the URL. There are other things you can look. Check the contact details, have a look at the phone number, physical address, company's name, company's number, VAT registration number. Really, really look. Even ring them up if need be. Just make sure that you start doing these checks. The other thing is the contact address. Do a Google search on it. Have a look. Is it right? Do a Google Street Map. Check what is out there. Check the surroundings. Is it what it's saying it is? Company's name, again, that's there for you. You can verify when it's registered. It's not 100% because anybody can actually set up a company. So it doesn't necessarily give you that 100 guarantee, but it is worth just checking along with the APTA. Check that as well. That with the APTA logo is another way just to make sure. All these checks are layers for you. Check the reviews. If it's saying this done within a couple of days of each other, is it the same name? Is the writing the same? Is it the format's the same? Possibly it could be the same person doing it. Central Ops is another one which will tell you about the domain, when the actual company was created or the website was created. And the other one is the archive.org. This is a good one because this, as you can see, for RenSafeOnline, which was ours when we started a number of years ago, it will give you the history, it'll give you the baseline. So many people are being scammed out of Facebook, and especially where the holidays, because people are desperate to book on Airbnbs and whatever it is. So again, take the picture off the site, do your checks, have a look at the transparency, just do your homework, because once you press that button, once you've entered your password, your email and any other personal details, the scammers got you. So as I say, Google image, how do you do it? All this information's on the website for you to have a look at. So it's all about reusing passwords. So I'm not going to ask you who reuses passwords, but please just think about it. Look at your account settings, check out your account management pages as well, and just take time to actually start looking at your reused passwords and start changing them as well. And delete old accounts that you no longer use. Now, there is a site which is called haveibeenpawned.com. Part of that site will actually give you a place where you can put your passwords in there to check if it's a secure password. I don't recommend that, but what I do recommend is that if you want to check if your email has been compromised, you can enter that into there. And if it comes back and says it has, then please do something about it. Change your password and any other accounts that are associated to it. Use 3 random words. So many people say it's hard to remember your passwords. Use 3 random words and that's your basis. So it could be a phrase, it could be absolutely anything. Here we've got conditioning future rabbit. We put the capital R rather than halfway round instead of just using the capital on the conditioning. 6 letters in Amazon and AN. A is at the beginning of Amazon and N is the end. So use that formula and then it's easier to remember than having to remember completely different random things. And the reason why, in the red, you can see, so easy, and these are the top, you know, the top ones which are being reused all the time. But if you took conditioning future rabbit, you can see it's billions of years for the systems to crack them. Think about your Wi-Fi router. Do any of you have changed that? Have you been in and actually looked at it and see what is there? Because again, if you think about your router, everything that you do or access on the Wi-Fi goes through your router. So when I asked you what devices are you using, did you also think about your Internet of Things, your doorbell, your fridge freezer, your washing machine? Anything and everything that is connected can be compromised. Enable 2FA, two-factor authentication, or multi-authentication, depending on how you call it. It's that second layer. It's like what you do if you're doing online banking. It's worth going on it and turning it on. It's very, very simple and it's free. So what happens is that if somebody's trying to use or access your details, your account, you will get a notification and ask you, is this you, basically, because somebody's trying to do it from a different device. And that's it in a nutshell. Whistle stop tour. I hope you've picked something or learned something. If you haven't, that's absolutely fine, but at least you've got a sample of the things that we can do. But as I say, everything is tailored to you. So I'll hand you back over to Diane.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Liz. Thank you. That was a whistle stop tour, but loads of really interesting bits in there. I think we were probably all sitting thinking I could do with just a session with you. But I think we're ahead of time, actually, Alan. I know.
That's fine, absolutely.
We've got about 5 minutes in there, so I don't know if you wanted to. There was a wee question I wanted to ask, if that's okay, but also if there was time, if anyone else had any points to make. Okay. So the question that something that Alan and I had discussed was around online, when we were talking about online safety and making sure your organisation is safe. We talked about maybe like making your networks and your servers safe, and then there's also the bit about staff not clicking links and using strong passwords. And I wondered, Liz, what is the best first line of defence in there? Is it the kind of back? Which is there one that's more important, or are they equally important? Liz, you just unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry. Are you talking about the banking there then?
Sorry, just in general in your organisation. So some charities are sitting here today and thinking, how can I keep my organisation safe? And it's the difference between what's more important, is it the staff having those skills, those online safety skills, is their first line of defence?
For the organisation then, it's a lot of people they consider work separate from the home life. So whatever they do, if their habits aren't good at home, it'll carry on in the business. So if they use it, so we talk about passwords, for example, if you're using the same password for your home life and you're using it exactly the same for your organization, then obviously you're compromising everything. There's a completely separate section on the website around businesses, around charities, about keeping yourself safe. When you're engaging with organizations and your staff, include them. Don't encourage them to, if they have a breach or if anything's happened at home, to come forward as well, because potentially, don't point fingers at anybody if they see something wrong or if they have made a mistake. Emails for anybody in the HR or financing, make sure there's a lot of mandate fraud. Make sure that you are checking. Pick up the phone and ring before you actually send out or respond to an email. If it's something, even emails are compromised on a regular basis, especially ransomware is one of the ways that are going through. So we need to make sure that it's everybody's responsibility. It isn't IT's responsibility. Everybody needs to make sure that they're switched on and doing their part as well. It's difficult because of home working, because many are still home working. So are you using the same device? Is the policies and procedures around that? Who else has access? If other people are using the same device, set up a separate profile for them. Segregate your work from your home life on that device as well, and report as soon as you feel if there's anything that's wrong. I could go on forever, Diane. Sorry.
We bring Carol in as well. Carol.
Hi, yeah, sorry. Now, I had to kind of phase out a wee bit there, Liz, for a few minutes because I had to get an email responded to. So if you've covered, there's a couple of things I wanted to add to this, to what you'd said, and if you've covered them already, then just slap me, right? And I'll shut up and apologise that I didn't pick up on it. First thing is, I think people should use a password manager. I think that's really important. There's lots of really good free ones out there. Just do a search on the internet for the top 10 best password managers and choose one that suits you, because that means all you have to do is remember one password, one really good strong password, and the password manager can then be used to set up really good strong unique passwords for all your different individual accounts. And it can even, some of them will even pre-populate it. So when you go into the website and it knows that you've registered with it, then it'll pre-populate it. So that is a really good, easy thing for people to do, especially those who aren't too IT literate. The other thing is on the likes of Google, Gmail, for example, Google accounts, you can link lots of different accounts to Gmail and other ones as well, but I'll just use that as the example. So if your Gmail account password is stolen, any account that you've got linked to your Gmail account, for example, would also be compromised or potentially compromised. So you do need to give some consideration to that, especially as that's becoming more and more popular. And the last one that I just wanted to mention was, I know that you did mention the browser, using the browser password option. Apart from the obvious sort of issues that you'd mentioned around and about that, there is also the fact that usually, not always, but in some cases, the browser stores it down onto your device, which you might think is great because that makes it safe, because then it can't be attacked on the internet. But when you're ready to change that device for a new device, you're going to have to, well, firstly, you're going to have to take a copy of all those passwords off of the device that you're using and install it on your new device, or write down all your passwords so that you can set them all up again when you use your new device. And you're going to have to make sure that you completely, utterly, forensically destroy those passwords that are sitting on the device that you're going to then be either exchanging out or giving away to somebody else for whatever reason. So, so I just wanted to add those things for consideration in as well.
That's
Carol.
great. Can I just add, with the password managers, they are brilliant. However, just be mindful, I don't know about you guys, but I always look for the best deal. So every year I'll be looking for my new electric and gas and things. So it's the same with internet providers. Depending on what you're using or your security, if you're renewing it or going with somebody else, you will need to write down your passwords before you actually go on to a different server, a different provider. Otherwise, you'll lose them when your subscription or whatever it is runs out.
Okay, thanks, Liz. Thanks, Diane. I'm just looking at the time here. Are you wanting to move on to the survey update and the Online Safety Ambassadors Programme at the moment? Yeah. I just wanted to say, obviously, thanks to Liz, particularly there. But it was just two things I wanted to note, that essentially conditioning future rabbit. No doubt we'll all use that as our password from now on. And the other thing, and then it struck me that probably I actually seen Conditioning Future Rabbit as a band at Teen the Park in 2004 or something like that. So, and once again, congratulations on the really 3D background you've created there. So we'll pass on there to Diane, and she'll take us through the survey update and the Online Safety Ambassadors Programme. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so you might have you've seen the emails. We've recently moved over to a new mailing system for Digiren. It's called Gov Delivery. So we hope that that's not caused any confusion, but one of the things we had sent out was a link to a survey on online safety, and it was just for us to try and understand where you're at in terms of that and how you're supporting people and what support you might need. Now, we've had quite a low response rate, so I am hoping that after today even we'll send the link out again, and you might, if I could kind of ask you if you wouldn't mind taking the time to complete that survey, that would really be really helpful in giving us a benchmark to where we're starting from, so that if we do this type of work, we can then evidence or argue, you know, make the case for doing more if it is making a difference to you. So we'll send that link out. So I'm not going to give an update on the results yet, because there was only it was too low a response. But thanks to those who did complete it. Thank you very much for that. And now I'm going to pass to Liz, who's going to talk about the Online Safety Ambassador programme and give you an overview of that. Thank you.
Okay, good. I think actually, Maria, are you going to start on that first?
Yeah,
I can fill in any gaps.
I'll start it off if that's okay, and then you can go into a bit more depth. The Ambassador Programme was something we launched in the Commonwealth for Commonwealth countries about 3.5 years ago. Obviously, we know we're bombarded, and certain dynamics of our communities are constantly bombarded with criminals, and our kids are suffering with online bullying, and this happens in tiny islands in the Pacific and the Caribbean and other Commonwealth countries. So the FDCO decided that they would employ us to actually help keep these countries safe and to actually spread the word. Now, as much as Liz and I are more than happy to go and spend 6 months in the Caribbean or in an island in the sun, it obviously isn't practical. So we launched an ambassador programme. And Carol and Diane are very keen. It's been so successful. Ultimately, when you say cyber training or cyber awareness training to people, they go, oh, it's going to be technical, or oh my God, I might not understand it. And before they even start to put the toe in the water, they've already put up barriers. So what we found with ambassadors is people just chatting to people works so much better. That's why our live events are so successful. So with the ambassadors, we train them up on the real basics, and none of it's technical. It's all just good common sense. It's cyber hygiene. But these are the things that are the difference, make or break with a lot of the problems that people suffer from online. And I think just knowing the scams that are doing the rounds and how they work, with a friend talking to a friend, or a daughter to, or a son talking to a mother or father, makes it so much more palatable and easy to digest. So we now have this massive ambassadors program. We have ambassadors days around the world where we, over a 24-hour period, we go from country to country as the time zone goes on, and our ambassadors come on these calls and they all chat, and there's WhatsApp groups, and it's great fun, but it's making a huge difference. Some of our ambassadors enjoy standing up in front of a room, and they'll go and visit their local school or their local age concern meetings and clubs and things that are going on within their communities, you know, WI meetings, and they'll do a chat. But some of our ambassadors feel comfortable just having 5 minutes over a Sunday lunch with their family, where they'll talk about, you know, have you heard about this scam, and make sure, you know, if you get this text or you get this phone call, you know, this is what it's about. So it's very diverse, and the ambassadors can really use their knowledge in a way that they feel comfortable with. But it really is making huge difference within the communities where we've got ambassadors. So, you know, I would really urge, you know, we're rolling this out for you guys up in Renfrewshire. There's one other council which is thinking about actually piloting this scheme as well in the UK. So I would urge you to try and get as many people that you feel would be good and in key positions. I mean, even hairdressers or barbers make wonderful ambassadors, because they have something else to talk about, especially as they can't talk about where they're going on holiday at the moment. So I would really sort of urge people to have a think about, you know, whether it's the person in the local fire station that goes out and checks that smoke alarms and people know how to keep themselves safe in other ways, might be able to use this as an added string to their bow. So please, you know, please have a think about that, and contact Carol or Diane as far as, you know, being a part of this ambassador program. But it really is great fun. Our ambassadors have great fun in delivering and being part of this scheme, and they get t-shirts and badges and certificates and things as well, which in Tonga they really loved. Anyway, I'm going to pass you over to Liz, who can tell you a little bit more about what's involved and how she steers the training.
Okay, thanks Maria. There's 22 countries actually that are involved. I do the Caribbean, and at the present I think I've got about 96 ambassadors on the books as such. Now when we talk about ambassadors or setting up anything like this, when you all know about working with volunteers, you've got your volunteers already on your books and in your organisations, and we certainly don't want to swamp you with trying to, you know, we've only got so many people can do so many things. So it may have some of the people that you've already got, it may just be a matter of just upskilling them or giving them the additional skills to add to their roles, what they're already doing. So with the ambassadors, how it starts is a recruiting process as such, or an expression of interest. Now it can be absolutely anybody. They don't need to be IT savvy. They can be any age to some 18 and over. If they are younger, obviously you've got your safeguarding issues and concerns around that. So we do look for anybody who's over the age of 18. They can be in any position, employed, unemployed. They just need to have a willingness to get the information out. So they will attend 6 hours training, 3 hours on looking at the material a bit. It upskills them around online safety. Now, depending on what their skills or who their audience is going to be, we then take it further to address their needs and their audiences. They then do a 3-hour presentation looking at how to present, how to engage with audiences, how to use social media, and how to get these key messages out. Now they sign up knowing that the expectations is they will deliver 9 presentations or 9 forms of engagement. And as I say, this could just be as simple as just using their own social media sites to get key messages out and reposting things that we do, to actually doing webinars, to actually doing live events, or even just organising things themselves. And then from there, we have monthly newsletters, we have WhatsApp groups, so all the ambassadors are in touch with each other, so they can buddy up with each other as well. They can share knowledge if new scams are coming in that they're just seeing or being told about. They can share all this as well. And we then also do further training. It's if they want to specialise in different areas or need more information, or just they come to us and say, right, I've got 20 minutes and this is the issue in what we're facing. What can we do? And I will work with them to pull a bespoke presentation which is suitable for what they need. So we're not giving them additional workload to everything else they're doing. We're working with them and providing them with the materials as well. And it's brilliant just to see how their confidence grows as well.
I wonder, sorry, Diane, I was wondering there as I was listening to Liz and Maria speaking, whether I know there was an opportunity for us as Digiren to maybe do something as a wee bit of an overview and put it out there and ask people to get interested in this programme and almost just gather up a kind of level of interest. And then it's a matter of maybe really picking off some people who we think are key to this. As Liz and Maria were saying there, sometimes it's a person within a community setting who maybe just has those interlocked networks, like a hairdresser was a great example, I think, actually. But, so not for me, of course, but, generally. So I think if we could maybe almost just elicit a kind of bit of a response from the Digiren network, that might be something worthwhile doing.
Absolutely, Alan. That's what we were hoping. I think we were talking about a flyer, and I realise there's a lot of information that's come out today, so we'd want to put that in an email. You can see all the different things you can access through Get Safe Online, but definitely that part as well, because we'd also contacted like children's services, for example, to see if staff working with young people in care homes and so on, and foster carers, training for them as well. So absolutely, this is like the first step, just having this conversation, which is brilliant. Thanks, Liz and Maria.
Really positive. And again, I know you're still with us, Liz and Maria, but I just wanted to say on behalf of the group, I know everybody's giving you a wee virtual round of applause. I just thought your input there on safety. All I'm doing is sitting here panicking about certain things that I've got in the home that I want to go and review now. You know what I mean? So you're scaring the living daylights out of me, and probably everybody will really consider what you've told us today. So thank you very much indeed, much appreciated. And hopefully this is, as Diane says, this is a start of us kind of moving some of this forward in a really practical way. And the fact that the council has that relationship with you now, and we'll get the benefits out as a wider partnership, will be brilliant, I think. So thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. We're just about on time, but I don't know if anybody's got any burning questions they wanted to ask Liz and Maria. We definitely want to pick up with Claire before 3 o'clock. So has anybody got anything they want to raise at the moment? Quite quiet, which is great. It's either
we've either overloaded them and they're like, or they're quiet because they've got enough. It's the start of a journey.
We're all scared now, basically. We're all feared and thinking about what we need to sort out.
No, that's not the idea. And Carol will say that as well. Baby steps. You go to the dentist once a year, obviously, and between the dentist and now you get toothache, you get this, you get that. So it's the same principle. Please just start looking after your online and start just making baby changes. That's all.
Okay.
I agree with Liz, and just supporting that is really that we're just trying to make people, to help them open their eyes, and more to the point of helping them to understand that what we're talking about here are things that are associated with crime, fraud, theft. It's not some weird, strange, technical mystery machine that they don't understand. It's actually just basic crime, and it's really just the work that we're trying to do is to change the perception. I mean, I hate my job title sometimes because calling me a cybersecurity anything makes it sound like I'm doing things that are really, really clever. But see, at the end of the day, my job is about dealing with fraud and stopping fraud, and trying to fix things when that fraud and that crime have happened. That's what my job really is about. And that's the message that I want to try and communicate across across the whole region, as well as just the council itself, because I'm trying to introduce that message into the council so that staff as well sort of learn to understand how they can deal with these on their own. So we did do a REN Talk session on Friday there, which one unfortunately was a staff only thing, because I did ask if we could invite other Digiren people along to it as well, and it was purely on cybercrime, phishing, ransomware, all these kind of things. But sadly, that's only for staff. But I'm certainly more than happy for us to do something similar that focuses more on not just this group, but members of the public. But that's what our partnership with RenSafeOnline is all about.
Thanks, Carol. No, absolutely. I know this is, simplistic about it. It is a journey we're on here, but I just think some of the messaging today I've really recognised, where I struggle sometimes with some of this, even though I'm very aware of what I should be doing. And I think sometimes it's the pace. You're trying to book a holiday was a great example, or you're trying to do something on PayPal. You just do it. You don't give yourself enough time to think. So even just taking a wee pause, I think is a really, really good message. I'm going to write pause on a sticker. I'll just put it on my laptop, I think, just give a good look before you press send. So no, it's really appreciated. Right, if we've no other big questions, what we'll do is we'll quickly move on, if that's all right, Diane, with you. We'll talk to Claire, hopefully, and I don't know if Ross will come in as well, but we're all excited that Connecting Scotland Phase 3 has been launched. So Claire, are you there? Do you want to tell us a bit more?
Put me in the spot, Diane, help. So those of you that are familiar with Connecting Scotland, I think anybody that's involved in this kind of work, you need to be living under a rock not to. So you probably know that Phase 3 was launched on Monday. So what I've got here is, to be honest, I've got a wee cheat sheet because this week has been bonkers, as I'm sure you can understand. So what I'll do is I'm going to just show you I'm going to just tell you a couple of bits and bobs that I've stolen directly from David, who helpfully did a presentation recently about this. Some of you might have been on it. So basically, Phase 3 is focused around employability. So basically, the main dates, actually, I think I might be best. I'll share my screen here so that you can see. So that you can see the main dates. So if you just bear with me 2 wee seconds. So I've had internet problems on and off recently, guys. Which slide are we on? Can people see that?
We can see a blank screen. I can see a blank screen. I don't know about anybody else.
I can see it.
Yes.
I think it's just coming up. That's us.
Okay, can you see the Phase 3 approach?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Cool. Okay. So for people that need to know, so the first round opened on Monday. It's due to close on the 5th of July. So that's the time you've got to get the applications in. We'll be doing our local authority assessment panel. So I think Diane's probably got that particular pleasure with me, I think, for sure. So we've had a few changes.
That's right. So I'm the new local authority contact leads.
It's important that we've got the right people in the room, so that's Diane's joining us, and we will be distributing and contracting devices between the 2nd August and the 17th of September. So for anyone who's thinking about putting an application in, that kind of 2nd August to 17th of December that's probably when we need you to have a wee think about, are you going to be able to sign contracts, get them back to us? Will there be people in offices for delivery and things? Hopefully, as we're moving out of lockdown, it won't be as big an issue as it was in the last one for anybody that was that enjoyed the experience of trying to get devices delivered just the week before Christmas. That was fun. Then we're going to have a round 2, which opens, as it says there, on the 30th of August, and it'll close at the end of September. I will say with these are the dates we have at the moment, for round 2 anyway, subject to change. So that's just always something to bear in mind with Connecting Scotland. There's also a fast track programme. So basically, we don't know exactly what that looks like. So it's, as David says, it's rolling programme to be confirmed. We think it might be a couple of things. Basically, it's another 4,000 devices. And I think the way we're going to do it is it'll be a rolling programme where we'll invite people who support specific groups to apply for devices. So it might be, let's say, like social housing providers or people who work specifically with X group, and we might also be looking at like smaller targeted organisations as well, but that's kind of in the lap of the gods, aka the Scottish Government at the moment, so unfortunately I can't tell you more than that. Probably the important thing to point out here is, so the same as normal, so there'll be a specific allocation between all the local authorities, and ourselves at SCVO will work with the local authority staff and teams to do the assessments, and we will at SCVO do the admin, the contract and the distribution and delivery of devices. Anyone who's successful will then distribute the devices to the end users and provide the digital champion support. So we will continue to have digital champion training running, and I believe there's bits and bobs of that being developed further. So my colleague Rory, that's just joined us from Government Housing Association, is running a digital champion spotlight month. For anyone that isn't familiar with it, that already has a Connecting Scotland recipient, Rory's starting to roll out a programme of different training events. So for example, there's an accessibility session that's been run by Ability Net, if anybody's familiar with that. So there's some bits and bobs there. And then there is a wee bit of a change. So the criteria, as I say, it's employability focused. Maria, I see your hand, I will come back to you. So the criteria is the people must be digitally excluded, they must be low income, and they're taking steps to improve their employment prospects. Now, that was the one that we were slightly unsure about, if I can be totally frank, just because employment prospects means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But from our point of view, so it's anybody that's undertaking activity to address barriers to employment, but that covers things like confidence building, mental health, health wellbeing, people that are in ESOL classes, so it's a pretty wide remit. And as it says here, priority will be given to organisations working with people who most likely been affected by the changes to the labour market. So as we know, last year was truly quite devastating to some people in terms of employability and employment prospects. So those people will definitely be priorities to be supported. And let me just see. Changes from phase 2. This is probably quite useful. I'm not going to go through all the presentation because there's quite a lot in it. So the biggest issue we've had is getting user data uploaded. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask people to do a needs assessment and submit details of people in advance, so that we don't have that problem of organisations putting in a kind of, we think we've got 20 type situation. So it's just something to bear in mind for your application going forward if you're putting something in. I'm aware I went at 90 miles an hour and I've also probably taken up all the time, so I'm going to quickly stop. Diane.
Thanks, Diane. Are you going to? I've just got this I'm conscious that Maria's looking to ask a question, Diane.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Just ever so quickly, Tesco's stores, well, Tesco's as a company gave away a lot of devices at the beginning of the pandemic. And what they found was it was a bit like lobbing in a technological hand grenade into some of these homes. I noticed that you said very wisely that you're going to buddy them up with someone, but we actually produced a booklet for Tesco's, and I will share that booklet with Diane and Carol, and if that is something that would help you, then you would be we will happily change any branding, and you can sort of circulate that with these devices if it would mean that it keeps people safe. It's something that's already been approved and the content's all done. If it's any use to you, then feel free.
I'm leaving here to go into a kind of planning meeting, so let me run that past everybody in the team, Maria. But yeah, I don't see any reason why not. Or to be honest, we might be coming to you and saying, would you maybe do a wee presentation for us for the Spotlight month? But no, thank you very much. I'll take it back to the group just this afternoon.
And
Thank you. I'll share it with you, Carol and Diane, in a moment.
Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, can I just add to that, Maria? That was a great thing. We did one for the children, for the young people, and one for the parents and guardians. So and it was in the shape of a tablet. So they each had, the children had their safety messages, and the adults had theirs as well. Very simple bullet points.
I'm just putting a link to the applications as well, just in there. We'll be putting information out to schools. In the sense of, we won't be contacting people directly. No, it's basically because it's just not possible. There's way too much for us to go to all the various schools, nursery, third sector organisations, public sector. It's just not feasible. But if people have those connections and they want to spread them within their own networks, please go for it. You're welcome.
Okay, Claire, is that? That was it was great. I know it was a whistle stop and everything, but we've been through this process before, and this is the third time, so hopefully we're getting to the third stage. I was just panicking that we're going to move you to somewhere else, because there was this whole talk about we're moving people around. So we've kept you, haven't we?
There's we've had two new starts. We've got Rory and Jason on the team now, so they're taking over some of the other ones, but these are stuck with me for the time being. But as I say, I realise that's about 90 mile an hour, so if people have got separate questions, contact me directly. My door's always open, as the case may be.
Claire, thanks a lot. Listen, I'm just conscious of time, folks. I know we said we finish at 3, but Darren from YMCA has just joined us, and I know Darren's got a big event next week. Darren, do you want to give us a very swift overview? Would that be all right?
Yeah. Apologies, because that was the meeting I just came out of with the guys in London about it. So next Tuesday for Digital Leaders Week, we're doing a one-day conference called Beyond Video Conferencing, and about how do we engage and support everybody from the community, not just young people from a youth work perspective, but adults as well as education and employers using these kind of platforms. And so we've got the CEO from STEMnets, who's going to be one of our keynote speakers, going to be talking about the impact that this has had on minorities. Because that's a particular passion for her. We also have the CEO from UK Youth. Obviously, it's given a youth work perspective across the UK about the impact of using such platforms as this, and how do we, further better engage with communities. We've also got Rory from SCVO, who's kindly going to be involved as well. He's going to be talking about the digital divide, and obviously what we're doing here in Scotland to give our UK perspective in terms of the laptop rollout with the Connecting Scotland. We also have a couple of international companies, and what's going to happen is that the conference itself is going to be interactive. It's not going to be you sitting passively on a screen. Basically, Breakout 1 is about the theory and the concept of digital disruption, digital education, and the use of digital in communities. The second breakout room is about using the learning or the theories and concepts from Breakout 1 and putting something together. You're going to come up with a prototype, And then in the third breakout, your group actually present that to a group of young people. And those young people are then going to take on board one of those projects that have been created by the group. And it's been funded between ourselves and Soapbox in London. And it's going to be based on a platform called WonderMe, which is a much more interactive conference platform as opposed to doing conferencing in this format. And so, yeah, it should be a really interesting event, and we're still kind of adding speakers and other kind of fun elements to it as we go along. So hopefully we'll see you there. But it's not just from a youth work perspective. It's incorporating a whole area of different industries and community levels as well. So if you can come along, that would be great.
Dan, thanks a lot. And I know that Ross has already sent round a message to all of the members. So if you get a chance to pop along to the whole thing, a part of it, it sounds as if it's a really exciting day. And there's some of the stuff around ethnicity would be really interesting for me. So I'm going to definitely try and get along. Maria, I'm just aware that you've still got a hand up. Is that a legacy hand? Yes. That's fine. If it's a legacy hand, that's great. As always, folks, really appreciate your input today. Diane, do you want to anything you want to say?
No, I'm fine. Thank you, Alan. Just apart from thanks for all the speakers, and welcome to Cara. I never said hello to you at the start. Great to have you here from Roar. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, Cara. Hopefully we'll catch up soon. And well, thanks very much, folks. Really appreciate your time. There's a lot of stuff in the chat bar. We'll try and share some of that stuff about password management and everything else. And we know this is recorded and it'll be stuck up eventually in the Engage channel if Ross downloads it and sends it on. But appreciated, folks. And we'll speak soon, eh? Take care. Cheers now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll email you all soon.